Good evening, everyone. My name is Maaz, and I'll be your host for the evening. And first of all, welcome to the Circle. So, the philosophy behind which the Circle was built was create, connect, and collaborate. And all of that happens through conversations, which is why we've built a property called the Circle Spotlight, wherein successful founders from the Circle community can share their journey and inspire budding entrepreneurs, budding founders from the Delhi NCR ecosystem to build something from their own. So, in the next few events of the Circle Spotlight, we would be calling upon successful founders from the Circle community to share their journey, to inspire other founders, other budding entrepreneurs to build something from their own. Having said that, I'd like to call upon the first speaker for the evening, Mr. Jitin Bhasin, founder and CEO of Savin.
Thank you, Mars, and thank you, Circle team, for having me here. And it's good to see this property. I think we've been with the Circle for over 3 years, and personally, I love the Circle and the team Circle. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting community that you guys are building, which calls for collaboration, cross-pollination of thought processes, and sharing stories. So I'll be happy to share our story as what we are building at Savin. So Savin is a healthcare fintech platform that allows people to connect with practices near them and pay for private healthcare in easy monthly installments. So what we do is we make private healthcare accessible and affordable. That's a single line description of what we do. And the thesis behind building Savin is that in India, healthcare is a $100 billion market. Annual spends of almost $100 billion happen towards healthcare, and 70% of that expense is out of pocket, which means that people have to pay from their savings, they have to break the bank if they are faced with a health event, which could be planned or unplanned. And at that point, we believe the availability of convenient credit can significantly disrupt how people access and pay for healthcare, and that's what we stand for. So we started Savin in January 2022 is when we did the first transaction of Savin. We are a Y Combinator-backed company. We're headquartered in the US, but we do business in India. We are building predominantly for India, but we have global aspirations eventually, but because we think it's a global problem. This is also in the Western world also. This problem is as acute as it is in India. So we started in January 2022. Today, more than 6,000 healthcare providers across the country use Savin to make their healthcare services affordable and accessible to people. We cover treatments which are not covered by health insurance. So treatments like hair transplant, dermatology, dentistry, fertility, IVF treatments, alternate therapies, fitness, preventive care, which we think is much more frequent a use case as compared to one getting hospitalized, is what we cover. And these events and these treatments are not covered by health insurance. I mean, you could have a $100,000 health insurance cover, but if you have to spend $1,000 in India on dentists, you won't get that $1,000 from your dental practice. So I think with that idea, with that execution plan is where we started Savin. We started Savin here at the Circle. I think we were here when Circle was almost empty. Just after COVID is when we set base. And we were a 2-member team back in the day, 3 members when we started. Maybe Rajiv remembers, Ankur I'm sure, and some of the old Circle staff remembers that we used to be here. Now we are at the UTC, but back in the day we were just a 2 to 3 member team. Today we are 75 people. We work in more than 100 cities of India. And as I told you, more than 6,000 healthcare practices use us, and all the marquee brands use us in the domains that I mentioned where we operate. Currently, we don't cover hospitalization events at all. So our thought process is that anything where there is a probability for the person to die, we don't cover that by credit because somebody has to repay. But otherwise, we cover 300 services, healthcare services, which are, which can be called as elective, outpatient, preventive, wellness, whatever you want to call it, right? So we cover all of those. and we've got tremendous feedback from customers in India over the last 2.5 years since we've been building. More than 400,000 people have used our services in the last 2.5 years, and we are growing. From our perspective, what we see is the biggest impact that we've made is that when somebody is at a particular healthcare practice and they're looking for the treatment of their choice, and if they are presented with a medical bill which is beyond their means, or they just don't want to pay upfront, pay as a down payment because it's uncomfortable. Private care can be expensive, especially in treatments and domains that I mentioned. It could run into lakhs of rupees or thousands of dollars, right, just for currency parity. So from our experience, I think the biggest impact that we've seen is that people like to use our product because within 2 minutes, they are able to unlock a credit line which they can use in a customized manner for healthcare of their choice. And over a period of time, we also transformed into a healthcare marketplace. When I say a marketplace, we have thousands of practices on one side, and probably millions of Indians are looking for those treatments on the other side. So just like Airbnb lets you connect with properties where you can book and stay, so we are building probably the Airbnb of healthcare because we are a capex light company. We don't invest in healthcare practices, but we aggregate healthcare practices. We let you discover them. We let you book a treatment of your choice, and we enable you to pay for it in zero cost monthly installment plans. So the icing on the cake is that any installment plan that we create, it is actually zero cost for the customer. So just like you buy an Apple mobile phone, and 65% of Apple devices are sold on no-cost EMIs in India, we have brought the same revolution to private healthcare. So you could go to a healthcare facility, you can pay your dentist 1 lakh rupees, instead of paying up, out of your pocket or swiping your credit card, which you have to pay back in, let's say, 30 days, you can use Savin, and you can split your entire spends into 3, 6, 9, or 12-month installments without a single percentage of interest. How do we do it? Because we get compensated by the healthcare practices that we work with. And why do they use us? Because using Savin, they can grow their practice size by 30 to 40%. They can serve more customers. They can give more treatments, lines of treatments to their customers or patients. And patients are happy because they are getting the treatment of their choice, timely care, without breaking the bank. And they can conveniently split all those, let's say, expenses into monthly EMIs. So I think we believe that this revolution of healthcare, personally, I'm very passionate about healthcare because I feel that if you are not fit, it takes a lot away from your generic productivity. And India is only becoming more informed about healthcare. India is becoming more, let's say, sensitive. Indians are becoming sensitive to preventive care. Because once you're in the hospital, then you probably have lost the game, unless it's an accident that you can't control. But in general, across the globe, I think there is a big focus on prevention, wellness, fitness. I would say aesthetics as well. People want to look good. It has a direct, let's say, bearing on your individual confidence, productivity, how you operate with people, social fabric, how you interact with people. So we believe that treatments of this nature will become more prolific. Indians will consume more such services. The more money we make as an economy, our choices will be guided by how much money we are willing to spend, what level of sensitization we have about, stuff like this. So I think fundamentally we believe that these categories will explode. Like we have veterinaries. So people have a lot of dogs. They want to spend on their dogs. Hair transplant, is a $2 billion market. Dental is a $3 billion market. IVF is a $2 billion market, and is a big problem not covered by insurance. So that's where Savin comes in. So we famously say that where insurance ends, Savin starts there, because we allow you the benefit of timely care without breaking the bank. So that's been our experience of building the company, and I think some interesting insights that I would like to share with you all is that when you start small. Just like I told you, we started from this very place. We were 2-3 people. We were in no tearing hurry to, hire a lot of people. I think I have always told Rajiv, used to ask just in hiring plans or somebody else. And I always used to say that we will hire commensurate to our requirements. We are in no tearing hurry just to show a fancy number that we have X employees and so on and so forth. So I think we were building in a particular economic cycle, which arguably was the most difficult for building a startup. And I think Riaz would concur that. I think these 2-3 years, fundamentally startups have changed the way they operate, because earlier it was growth at any cost model. But that model obviously did crack significantly. The biggest of companies in India, Europe, US, maybe APAC as well, they saw cracks emerging, because if you were chasing only, let's say, fancy metrics of top line or GMV as they call it, without any sight of profitability, that became very difficult. So people like us were actually forced to look at efficient building of a startup, which I think was a blessing in disguise, because fundamentally we are, let's say, now wired to make decisions which are economical and give us, let's say, a return on investment which is tangible and clear. So I think that's the hallmark of building a startup. Generally, people say founders are crazy people. They want to change the world without understanding what will happen in the next 2 months probably, but they think that, we can change the world. So I think for us particularly, what worked very well was that we knew this economic cycle is around. We had the experience of building companies. Like, I'm a second-time founder, so I had built a company, I exited, and then started building this. So I think that helps, obviously, to make better decisions. And life is only about making better decisions, not right decisions, just better decisions, right? Because we all make mistakes. So I think fundamentally, what I would like to share, and if some of you amongst us today, you want to start, I think, people have lots of ideas. So ideas are not generally unique, or they are not confined to only you. Ideas are very easily available. Execution, as they say, is 90-95% of building a company, and idea is probably 5%. And luck can be a very big factor. Sometimes, right place, right time, it does work. If you see companies around you, you would see a lot of quick commerce companies that started back in 2018, 2019 also, but nobody gave them a single dollar. But then you saw the emergence of quick commerce in the last 2-3 years after pandemic. So I think timing is also very important. And in our case also, we feel that the sensitization towards health exploded after COVID. So if you were to ask anybody today that would you be willing to, let's say, invest towards your health, I think it will be very difficult to get an answer that no. And I think back in the day, let's say 5 years back, 6 years back, it could have been different. And we are witnessing that in preventive care especially. And I think we are digging heels in that particular segment. We want to be the biggest private healthcare network for outpatient healthcare. So today we already have the widest, largest distribution network. We have almost 6,500 practices in 108 cities. We have served customers in 12,000 pin codes of India, all digitally. I mean, we don't have physical presence in many places, but we do it digitally. So I think from our perspective, just focusing on digital first approach, tech first approach, has worked very well. We work with some very respected brands, both on the healthcare side and on the money side, because we are lending money. So on healthcare side, let's say if I talk about dermatology, then VLCC is our partner. In dental, we have multiple chains. We have almost 1,200 dentists. We have about 1,000 gyms. We have 300 to 400 aesthetic, let's say, surgeons. We have 1,000 dermatology practices. So, so we have built reach and distribution in these practices. So if you were to open your phone and go to Seven website, look at where you are right now, look for a practice, you'll find many. So hyper-local discovery is what we are double-clicking on, so that you should be able to find the practice of your choice near you, make a booking, go there, and pay using Seven. So I think from our experience, making decisions which are tangible, you can calibrate them, not going very far ahead of yourselves, like not planning 2-3 years, I think is crap, because nobody controls 2-3 years. I think if you control a quarter well, or a couple of quarters very well, I think that's a very good job done in a startup ecosystem. And I think that's what we are trying to do. So on the money side, we work with the largest banks of India. HDFC is a partner, ICICI Bank is a partner, IDFC First is a partner, Kotak is a partner. So we've been able to, let's say, convince large financial organizations that we are the right partner. Last month, we embedded Seven in a leading health insurance company, Care Health Insurance, which is the second largest health insurance company in India. We were able to convince them that health insurance is incomplete, because they also get a lot of customers asking them, hey, will you cover my IVF? And they say, sorry, your health insurance doesn't cover it. And that's where Seven comes in. So if any of you are a Care Health Insurance customer, in the mobile app now Seven is available. So we want to become that embedded layer for various consumer ecosystems, that if you're looking for a healthcare experience which a classical health insurance does not cover, then Seven comes into the picture. So from our perspective, I think the embedded format or B2B2C format, as they say, has worked quite well for us, and we want to double click on that. We don't have a consumer app, even today. We have a mobile app for our healthcare practices, but we don't have a consumer app. We have QR codes. You can go scan the QR code immediately in 30 seconds or 1 minute, you will get a credit line, which you can pay for. So I think our entire focus is to create an ecosystem, whether it is on the lending side or it is on the distribution side, and partnerships with large consumer platforms. I gave you an example of health insurance because this is live. There are other such platforms that we're working on, which could possibly get us hyperbolic growth, because you could suddenly find us in a very popular consumer app that you're using, and you would find a Save-In button there for healthcare. So we want to synonymize Save-In with everything healthcare not covered by health insurance. And I think that's what we are building, and that's been our experience largely. Talking about some of the challenges, because I think Ankur wanted me to talk about certain challenges. I think challenges galore, like, as I told you, I mean, we've been working in a cycle which is crazy, funding winter, etc. I mean, we raised a reasonable round, but after that it was like completely crazy situation. We are working under the purview of RBI. So RBI has made several changes to the fintech ecosystem, in India over the last 12 to 18 months. So we've had to respond to several regulatory changes, which could be sudden sometimes and sometimes not so pleasant as well. But I think that's what builds resilience. And I fundamentally believe businesses are about resilience. Businesses are not about being successful. Fundamentally, businesses are about being resilient. And you can look at any business. Like, we used to discuss, Rajiv, occupancy levels at some point, here also were quite lean, but look, I just asked him, and this place is completely full, Nishta is smiling. But, businesses are about resilience, right? So I think that's the biggest learning that I wanted to share with you. We learn every day. We don't think we are successful yet. Successful can have many meanings, but currently we think that it's day one for us. We're just about getting started. Yes, we've made certain progress in the direction in which we want to go, but I think there is a lot to be done. India is a huge market. APAC is a huge market. I went to Singapore 6 months back, and I walked into a dental clinic, and I told them, hey, I have this product. They said, yeah, we would like to sign up. Then I said, sorry, but I do this only in India as of now. Because, the cost of a root canal in Singapore is $2,500. And average salary could be $5,000, but nobody's willing to pay 50% of the salary for a root canal. And this problem exists in a more hyperbolic fashion in the US. In the US, a dental implant would cost you $6,000. For, you could get a dental implant in India for about 30,000 rupees, which is about $400. So look at the elasticity in pricing. $400 in India, $5,000 in the US. And it's the same implant also. It's just the cost of situations, right? So in the US also, dental is not covered. I mean, as much as people would like. So it's a global problem, but we are solving for India. And I think this is what I wanted to share with you guys. And yeah, happy to answer any specific question that any of you may have. But yeah.
I have a question for you. Are you more focused on tier 1, tier 2 cities, or let's say tier 1, tier 2, I mean metropolitan cities? What is your plan for covering tier 3 and tier 4 cities or the rural area? Because that's where the real challenge as well is.
Yeah. So no, I think, if you see rural India, a lot of people from outside of India feel that rural India, 60% of Indians are in the agriculture field, etc. But if you see, Pareto principle is very clear in most businesses. So as I mentioned, we operate in more than 100 cities, which by definition means that we are in cities beyond metro and tier 1. But Ankur, what happens is this country is driven 80-20, right? In terms of value, the value will come from the top 20%, and that top 20% resides in metro and tier 1. Now, if you also juxtapose the kind of treatments I talked about. So let's say, a hair transplant, or let's say if somebody is wearing glasses and you want a LASIK glass removal, which your health insurance will not cover. They will cover a cataract. They will not cover a LASIK glass removal. So these kind of treatments that we've started with are not necessarily the problem of somebody who's finding it difficult to make ends meet. So these treatments are consumption oriented, because we fundamentally believe that the age of consumption in healthcare will come now. Earlier, people used to take measured decisions about health. Now people will take more aggressive decisions towards health. This is where people would like to spend. So if you have wrinkles, you will say, I'll go for a Botox. If you're not happy with your jawline, you will say, I'll get a filler, right? If you're not happy with your body, you will say, okay, I'm willing to go under the knife, right? So I want to go to a fancy gym. I want a personal trainer. I don't care if it costs me 20,000 a month, which pretty much is what it will cost you. So people will start making these decisions about preventive and aesthetics or whatever you want to call it, right? So I think rural is not necessarily our focus right now. And we are not here for the bottom of the pyramid. So we are not a bottom of the pyramid company. We believe that we are talking to people who have good credit scores. They have the ability and the sensitization to spend money towards a specific, let's say, treatment, but income saving, and it makes it much easier for them to make that decision. Yeah. Any other question? Yes, ma'am. Yes, we do cover Ayurveda. Jiva Ayurveda is our partner. Kairali is our partner. So Ayurveda is a big and emerging field for us because we see that a lot of people are now buying packages of Ayurveda because chronic diseases unfortunately have no cure in allopathy. I mean, you can only suppress. But I think in Ayurveda and also homeopathy, like Dr. Batra is also a very good partner for us. So alternate therapies we do cover. Yeah. Yeah, cost for the customer is zero, Rajiv. So you could go spend 300,000 rupees at a fancy dermatology clinic if you want to. You have to pay 25,000 rupees per month into 12. That's the cost for you. No hidden agenda, no fine print, nothing. For the merchant, we charge them a subvention fee, which is commensurate to how many months your customer will avail zero cost EMI. So if your customer repays in 3 months, so you could have a very small cost, like 3 to 4%. If your customer repays in 12 months, so you have to compensate us for that 12-month cost. So I think it varies. It starts from as low as 3 to 4%. So on an Amex card, you end up paying 2%. If you're a merchant, you pay 2% on an Amex card, right? Classical credit card, you'll pay 1%, 1.5%. So we start from 3 to 4%, and we go up to 7, 8, 9%, depending upon how. And that it doesn't pinch them because, frankly speaking, they have comfortable margins and they are able to see 40% more business. They don't care two hoots about like 5, 6%. For customer, it's free, and they love it. So, yeah. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Any other question? Only healthcare. Yeah, only healthcare services. Medical tourism? No, not yet. Because it is difficult to give money to people who are coming from outside of India. The regulation in India does not allow us to lend money to people who are foreigners. So we don't. Sorry? Yeah, we have researched the medical tourism market because it is growing, and I think PM Modi has this agenda also to make, Heal in India is a big initiative. But as of now, we don't operate in medical tourism sector. This itself is huge, and we are probably not even doing 1% in the market. So we want to just focus on this first and then look at other segments. Yeah. No, there's no premium. It's not insurance. It's like just like you scan a Paytm or a PhonePe and you use your money to pay. In this case, you get a credit line from us. You use our money to pay the merchant and you repay the money back to us. So it's an on-demand credit available to you. Now, insurance is a great product, but you could have paid insurance for 10 years and not made a single claim, in which case that goes, right? But it's a great product. In elective or outpatient, you can just pay on demand, and we just allow you to split it. So there is no premium because it's like on demand. Yeah. Yes, it is a private credit line that you get, and you just use that credit line. Just that it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It's interest free for you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have, so there are two aspects of credit underwriting that we do. First, we underwrite the medical practice. So let's say a practice across the road will be very different to a practice, let's say somewhere in East Delhi, where the demographic profile could be very different. So the kind of people who walk into that practice are different. The price point is different. The doctors entire behavior could be different, right? So we first underwrite the medical practice and we allocate a particular credit limit commensurate to the treatment cost for that practice. Then when the customer comes and avails, let's say, or wants to apply, we check the credit history of the customer. It's all digitized. We obtain KYC information, which is your PAN and Aadhaar information. We have multiple credit bureau integrations. We look at alternate data like your payments data. We look at telecom data. We look at behavioral data. And we are able to, in 30 seconds, give you a credit limit. This is a machine learning algorithm that we run. And basis that credit limit is what your usage can be. So that's how we operate. And we work with various lenders like banks and non-banks from where we originate money. So we don't deploy our own money. We get money from lenders who have partnered with us. All of this happens between 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Yeah, yeah. We are deep integrated. We have API level integrations with multiple lenders. Yeah. Yes, absolutely, yeah. So we end up approving 60 to 65% people, 35% people we do reject. In India, personal loan approval rate is about 20-25%. Why are we able to do more? Because the kind of demographic profile that we are catering to, it's a positive selection. So there are people who are walking into these clinics and practices, they're of a certain caliber. But within that also, we do reject 30 to 40% people, and 60% people are approved. But it happens in 3 minutes, so yeah, it's quick. We don't take, it's unsecured, yeah. Our experience with this has been pretty solid. Like our risk framework has worked out well, yeah. But we're still growing, so we'll see. Sorry? So in India, a credit card bad debt, DPD 90, are you from lending back? No. So DPD is like days past due, delinquency, 90 days you've not paid. So that number for average credit cards is 4 to 5%. We operate sub 2.5%. So our risk has been very good, which is why the biggest banks have tied up with us within the first couple of years of our operations. Otherwise, in Indian fintech ecosystem, is very difficult to tie up with, let's say, an HDFC bank in the second year. So our risk framework has been very good, and yeah. Sorry? No, we are lending towards a use case which is well established. Let's say you go to a dentist, you want braces. Braces may cost you 100,000 rupees. We are lending that 100,000 rupees to that person who wants the braces. So the borrower is the person who is availing the service. The person who gets the money is the doctor. So the money goes to the doctor and it is repaid by the person who's going to wear those braces. Yeah. Up to 5 lakhs we lend. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I think we had a good conversation. Thank you for the questions. It was good to talk to all of you, and thanks for having me here again, Ankur. Yeah.
Thank you, Jitin, for sharing your story. I hope people in the audience can take this home and strive to make better decisions. As you said, we can only make better decisions and not worry about right and wrong. I'd like to call upon our next speaker, Mohammad Riaz, CEO and MD of Extracap Fintech.
Jatin is always very eloquent. He's fabulous, he's fantastic. We might share the same flaws today, but there used to be a time when he was on the 4th floor and I was on the 2nd floor in the same company called Aviva Life Insurance. It's just that I was more closer to the ground, the 2nd floor. And I've been doing this business now for the last 7 years. And interestingly, why did I start what I started? As a founder, most of you guys wanting to set up your own company. It's so very exciting to be in the startup world today. India is the startup destination for the world today. I see all of our Korean friends over here who have come all the way from Korea, and there is a gentleman that I have over here who is such a Korean fan who asked me to wish something to the Korean friends over here, and I can't get that word right, so I don't want to say that and do a mistake, so maybe you can say that, Prashant. Annyeonghaseyo. All right, welcome to India, and thank you for being over here. So, my story, well, I don't want to rake any controversies over here, but what I'm going to be saying is very, very controversial. My company started because my bosses failed me. I worked in few of the best brands in the country. While the companies were very good, my bosses went. So I used to always have this conundrum, what am I going to do with my life? I just get everything going, but then my boss, unfortunately, lets it go. And there am I, thinking that I'll have everything in my world, and very soon I have nothing. And I'm in the lost cause. A successful person in a lost world is what I would want to say about myself. One fine day, like I quit smoking, like I quit drinking, I also quit working. I said, I don't want to work anymore. My wife said, are you gone crazy? I said, yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to work anymore. She asked me what you'll do. She said, I said, I'll do a startup. And this was in 2016, when the word startup was kind of, scoffed at, kya hoga malum nahi, pagal ho gaya types. Anyway, so that's how I started. Of course, the problem that I wanted to solve was a very big problem to solve. And it was a very simple problem to solve. The ease of me wanting to start my own business came from the fact that I wanted to better my work situation. I wanted to be a better boss for myself, which is me myself. But the problem that I wanted to solve had to be also simple, because I didn't want to complicate my life. So I decided to work around the problem of liquidity in an emerging market like India. And the idea was very simple. Most of the businesses in India, whether it is Adani or whether it is the guy who just met me, he runs a 25 crore, three-wheeler automotive company, manufacturing electric automotive, the ones that you see when you go in Delhi, the ones, the three-wheelers that you see, that manufacturer, they all have liquidity issues. Now, what's liquidity? There's a difference between debt and liquidity, and a lot of people get confused over here. And I'm fundamentally very, very clear that debt is something that you give and repay over a period of time. Liquidity is something that you take, you invest, you earn, and you pay back, and you take again, and then you invest, and then you earn more, and you pay back. Liquidity helps people. So liquidity, perhaps from a better understanding perspective, is like an engine oil in a machine, and debt is like a petrol. Liquidity can actually improve your ability to do business, and liquidity goes to people who know how to manage their business and who know how to grow their business. If you give them liquidity and you keep giving them liquidity, they'll do well. It's true for India, it's true for United States of America, and it's as true for Korea. It doesn't change anywhere. It remains that way. The question is, when it is so very simple and when it is so very easy to understand, for a frustrated guy like me at 50 years of age could fathom why the bankers aren't doing it. Why does this world has a liquidity problem? Why does India still suffer so significantly for lack of liquidity? What makes America what America is today? And the issue is, it doesn't make too much of money. Now, how would you make money from a business which doesn't make too much of money is the model that I wanted to crack. And I started off as like all founders, all alone, all by myself. There I met Nishtha one day, frustrated when I could not get an office space for myself in Connaught Place. And Connaught Place is where I wanted my office space. I was going there, I was looking for 3 weeks. The places I used to like were too expensive on rent, and the places I didn't like, They were too dingy and they were too cheap. I couldn't take my brand there. So one day I was just walking through the metro and I said, what the hell? What is this circle over here? Let's go check this out. I come up and suddenly a huge space explodes in front of me, which was the 5th floor. There was no 4th floor. There was no floor here. It was only, it was even before Rajiv joined. But then there was Nishta there. The lone sloan waiting for someone, "Arey, koi milega." Let's say somebody is going to be coming today or not. And I met her. And that's how my journey started in Circle. Way back in 2019, I moved in. My business started in March 2018. And on the way, I found my team. So while the problem that I was solving and intend to solve and continue to solve for near eternity is a problem of liquidity, but I had a different problem. I didn't have an institutional backing. I was just one person. I didn't know what to do, how to do, where to go. And that is one thing that each founder suffers from in the first 6 to 1 year of his startup dream. And that's where most of them fail, figuring out as to what to do, how to do. I was fundamentally clear. I said I would have a team and I will give them an environment which is different from what I suffered in my life. That is to say, failed bosses. So I'm not going to become a failed boss. For us, success is an imperative. It's not a choice. If any one of my colleagues comes and joins me in the organization, this is what he has to hear from me. Success comes with time. It does not come overnight. As startup founders, we all need to realize patience is the game. Tenacity is delivered through significant amount of belief in yourself. And may what happen, you will walk forward. So you need to take the right decisions. And right decisions are always people decisions. It's all about what kind of people you surround yourself with. And I realized it 2 years down the line, after setting my company, that I need to give the same environment to my team that I didn't want for myself. If I give them a different environment and if I become a bad boss, then I would not survive as a startup. Today, I have my HR over here and she's not too old. However, she will vouch for it. We are a literally zero turnover organization. As a startup, I have an IT team which is working with me for the last 5, 6, 7 years. My first coder is still with me. My CTO is still with me. And we build a tech application for what I told you, why bankers don't do liquidity, because they don't make money on liquidity. It's better to do a term product. It is better to do a product which is 12 months, 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. Longer the product, the more profitable it is. Hence, any financial services product which is very long by nature becomes the most profitable product. And here we have a product which is a liquidity product. Now, what does a liquidity product do? It provides you money for a limited period of time, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, for a very specific purpose. And it has to be returned back. Now, if you were not taking it back again, then all your efforts to acquiring the customer goes down the drain. So you need to build a very good experience for the customer to come back again and again to you to ask for money. And you should be then able to give them near instantaneously in an experience that they can make more money. If they make more money, they'll give your money back to you to make more money. And this is a cycle. Now, you can bridge this cycle with technology. And that's what we did. And once we successfully did it, one fine day, when I was kind of 4 years, 5 years into the business, as usual, like all startup founders having dreams that I will get my next round of funding, I will do this, I'll do that. Sustaining my organization with a good product, with a good experience, with a good tech team around me, but not reaching where I could have possibly reached. So we got an investor. They invested in us. They gave us the required money, and at 1/100th of a capital that was given to me vis-a-vis my competition, we've started beating them on their own game. So my competition, if he would have raised, let's say, 100 rupees of funding, I just raised 10 rupees of funding. And then we gave run to their money because of only two things. We got the technology play right, and more than that, we got the people play right. Today, I'm so very proud to have a team of 150 people with branch offices over 12 cities, with an IT center in Noida. For Rajiv's too expensive for me to have his office over here, but then he's also very happy about me is because I keep expanding, because I keep now looking for more cabins, more cabins. You have a smaller cabin, is it? You have a 2-seater cabin, is it? You have a 3-seater cabin, it is. So that when my team expands over here, I don't need to spend too much of money, but I'm very, very happy now is that we're going to be taking a slightly bigger cabin now to get everybody consolidated in one place so that the productivity goes up. So today we have earned enough to think about these small, small things. Having said that, I found my team, I found that people, we gave the environment, and today we are one of the fastest growing supply chain finance fintech in the country today. A lot of people have started respecting what we do. A lot of customers started respecting what we do. And every day is a reality check for me. So today in the morning, I closed a deal with one of the largest FMCG company in the country, which has a business size of over 24,000 crores, and a small 24 crore MSME. And both needs are the same, liquidity. So what do we do? Simple, supply chain finance. You have your balance sheet, you have your bills. These all bills are e-invoices. Give your e-invoice to us. First we will do some amount of assessment. We're not like saving that we do it in 2 minutes. No, it doesn't work like that. For my ticket sizes can range from 3,000 rupees to 3 crores of liquidity support. So this has to have some amount of journey in terms of understanding as to how your business is. We take data as a collateral to a certain level, and from there we take a credit decision. And once we take a credit decision, a working capital line is given, which is like a credit card, but not exactly a credit card. For people use us, pay us, buy more, and how do? They do through our ecosystem. And that ecosystem is the technology that we built over the last 7 years. And how they do it? They do it with support, with people like Mr. Raghunandan Bhadwaj, my co-founder there, Prashant, sitting there, who does the business development, my ID guy, Nitin, sitting in Noida today because he's got Ganpati Visarjan to do, so he's unfortunately not here. But at least for our happiness, let the Ganpati go and let us all prosper, because my objective is very simple. If we want to build an organization and create an institution, first you have to create people around it, people's belief around it. Then you get your customers, you give them fantastic service, you treat them like gods, and be sure that what you're saying and what you're doing is the same thing. Because that's the only thing that I learned from my failed bosses. They used to say something, and they used to do something. India today needs people who say and do. For success and progress is how you think and how you execute. And we haven't had problems there, at least for now and for the eternity. For I know, whether I stay in this company or not, today we've become a going concern. And that's the power of what we want to do. As we exit this financial year, we'll start making money. As we exit the next financial year, we'll start making more money. As we exit a lot of financial years, we will be a money-making machine, because, to give you a correlation, what UPI was in 2015 and what it is today, e-invoice financing will be what it would be 5 years down the line. For as the economy emerges from 3 trillion to 4 trillion, to 8 trillion, to 16 trillion, one of the key difference is going to be increasing the efficiency in the economy, which you're seeing from the payment space. We're talking about an economy 25 years down the line of 32 trillion with the same population base and a same country like India. How will that growth happen in next 25 years? How will we grow 9x? It's just through liquidity. So what we're sitting on is a massive, massive, massive opportunity, which I don't want to measure in terms of how many trillions it could be. What I want to measure in terms of how many of my colleagues 5, 10 years down the line do not have to work in their life anymore. And that's my objective, that's my mission, and that's what ExtraCap FinTech is all about. Interestingly, where does this X comes from? In my extra, while it should be E, it is X. X comes from my fascination as a kid for reading asterisks and obliques. You has this comic strip, which is basically asterisks. A lot of people who are of my generation will understand it. A lot of people will not understand what that X stands for. But when Asterix used to drink his magic potion, and he used to go and face the Roman army, he singularly used to be able to completely defeat 2 legions, 3 legions of Roman army. And that's the magic potion, and that's the potion that at least I learned to build for myself with my team, because I'm a victim of failed bosses. Thank you very much. I think the most difficult thing is team. The only reason why I can sleep in the night, because few of my team members don't sleep in the night. I don't like saying that, but that's a fact. Building that kind of commitment is very difficult. Product, anybody can make. I can go, throw money, outsource it to some group of guys who know how to build a technology. They'll build and they'll give. While I do have my own tech team, but the other day I was sitting and introducing my infra boy to someone, and I said कि अच्छा आप करते क्या हो, इनको ज़रा समझा दो. तो he says मैं Amazon का सर्वर मैनेज करता हूँ और मेरे को रात को नींद नहीं आती. And we have 100% uptime for last 7 years. Our servers have never gone down. Why? Because that's important. I have a colleague of mine who said, and who looks after the collection. And she calls my colleague at 1 in the morning and says, Sir, raat ko neend nahi aa rahi mere ko. I think this is the most tough thing to do, Ankur, building a team around you. And building that confidence that after 5 years also I see Nishtha there standing there. I see Ankur there standing there. Similarly, I would also want my team members to be around. So I see so much of that happening in Circle. I've never seen guys living in Devil's Circle. You may be having a very comfy environment, but it's not so comfortable because you also have sleepless nights. You need to give a fabulous experience to all of us. So you know what I'm talking of. It's always about people. Getting your people right is the most difficult thing to do. Well, I don't know who gave you those statistics, ma'am, but it doesn't take too much of money if you have the right set of people around you. Like I told you, I have received a 1/10 of the investment of what my competition has received. So one of the biggest problems with most of the startup founders is that they tend to overextend themselves in order to create valuation. But if you were to stretch yourself with time to create profitability, then the investment that you're talking of is more in people, more in processes, more in product, more in experience than on technology per se. Technology is a function of how long you spread it out. If you want to do all that in 1 year's time, just because you want to give a very large number and that fancy number which the investors today aren't interested in. Investors are interested whether you have your balance sheet positive. Now, if that balance sheet is a small balance sheet, it doesn't matter. If that balance sheet is a big balance sheet, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't need to be a Paytm experience. At least not for me. I've lost money in Paytm. I was stupid enough to invest in them. So when you do business like that, when you blow up money, somebody's money is going to blow up. So the entire Indian retail investors' money blew up in Paytm. So essentially it doesn't work like that. The economics of it doesn't work like that. So to me, I don't think so. Any business is very difficult to build. You don't need to have too much of money. You need to have the right idea. You need to have right people with you. And then you need to have a right market product fit. And जिसको कहते हैं समय, time, right set of circumstances. So I strongly believe that if you are in the right set of circumstances, or you create the right set of circumstances, then a lot of things that you think need to be done in terms of investment doesn't need to be done. You need to be more nimble, you need to be more smarter, and you need to be more agile. If you are able to do it, you can run a very successful business. Nobody knows me, but the fact is that for 7 years of my life, I didn't have to suffer my bosses. And that, I think so by itself, is a very, very big achievement for the amount of money that I've invested in my business. It's not very big. But it's going to be making some serious money from next year onwards. And that's the confidence with which you take more seats in your place, sir. And one thing I know, I'm not going to be leaving your place. This space has turned out to be lucky for me. And I have this Vastu stuff in my mind, that stuff in my mind. So my boys ask me, sir, let's go, take a bigger office, better office. Circle is our office. The head office is not going to go away from Circle. This is where we stay, at least till the time I retire from the organization, which is going to be not very soon, but it's not going to be very late also. Thank you, Ankur. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you.